Testing. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. I think I need to turn the mic up a little bit. Here, I think. Test. 2 decibels. Test. Microphone check. Okay. Maybe 5 decibels. Microphone check. Okay, I'm lagging a little bit. Let me do this. Okay. Maybe I'm still lagging. Do I do 20? Check. Microphone check. Okay. I think that's a good level, but not sure if I'm lagging. I was watching the previous stream and I noticed there was a lag going on, but I don't know if I got it. I don't know if I got it, but I did notice the audio was very good. Okay, okay, I'm still lagging, but I wonder if I'm lagging forward or backward. That's the question. Maybe we're just gonna we're gonna troubleshoot this. You are lagging less now, but still a touch. Yeah, that's what I can hear you, but okay. Yeah, so I noticed, although it was a little lag last stream, I think it's good now, cool. But the audio was pretty damn good, because I guess this microphone is very good. So yeah, I'll keep using this microphone, and I'll just hold it. Maybe I'll figure out a way to get a microphone stand or something, but for now it's all good. So what we have here is, oh, hello Nadia, good evening. Yep, you're giving me the status report. Great. I have been missing your live streams as I have been out the past few Saturday nights. Yeah, I mean Saturday nights, that's when everybody's out, but so I understand it's not the best time to do a stream because that's party time, baby, but that's the only time I'm free. So it is, so but I'm not gonna get mad at people for not showing up on a Saturday night, but that's the only time I'm free. But not everybody's doing stuff on Saturday night, so I'm here for those who just chill. But you're chilling, so that's cool. How am I, Neil? I just finished painting. Do I have? Yeah, I think I still have little paint particles on me. I haven't been making videos about text because I've been busy doing other projects. One of the projects I'm doing is I'm setting up a community fridge, which is really cool. We actually get a refrigerator and we set it out in a public space. This is actually going to be in front of my house. Right, so hey, we're just going to set it out in front of my house and anybody can open it, and people donate food, they put food in it, or they can take food out. There's no questions asked. You just put food in, you take food out, you give or you take. It's for the community. It's a fridge for the community, and it's great. But if you have it outside, you got to build a structure to keep it protected from weather, right? From the rain, because it rains here a lot, because you don't want to get it all wet and have it malfunction. So you got to build an enclosure around it, right? So that's what I've been doing. I've been doing that during my days when I usually make videos for this channel. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to prioritize that. So that's what I was doing before I entered the stream. And then, what's this? Do you not go out on Saturday nights? Yeah, not anymore. am I am I too old? Is that a sign of old age? Um, yeah, I just don't. That's usually my free time. And I'm like, I'm done for the day. I'll just stay at home. Kind of a little depressing, but it's all good. But I could do this. I could do the live streams, but yeah, I don't. Well, yeah, and also, although where I'm from, I live in Memphis, Tennessee, and in Memphis, it's a lot of, they got a big blues scene, blues music, which is fine, but you kind of get sick of that. And people really like Elvis here, and they just do a lot of that, like classic rock, which I'm not really a fan. I mean, it's fine, but I'm not trying to like go out and see that all the time. And a lot of that is here in Memphis. And but there's all types of things that happen in Memphis, but that's a lot of it. So it's not like where I'm originally from, the San Francisco Bay Area, where there's a lot more diversity in events. But there's some good stuff here. But a lot of that Saturday night stuff is mostly, blues, guitar, classic rock, Elvis, rockabilly type of stuff. Which, So that's partly why I just don't go out Saturday nights. And you ask, do you get your socializing during the day rather than nights? Yeah. Again, I guess that's just a sign of old age. It's kind of flipped because I'm, Hangout. I'm 39, about to turn, by the end of the year, I'm about to turn 40. And when you get that age, you're really not, or the people around that age, they're not really active at night. They're more because when you're young, you got a lot of energy. You can pull those all-nighters, but when you get a certain age, the energy just isn't there. When it's like 9 o'clock, and it's like, damn, why am I so tired? So you don't really have the energy to socialize like you do when you're younger. So that's what it is. What it is. So yeah. That's the thing today. Okay, so this is the Black Ponderer. Welcome to the channel for those new who are watching or will watch the recorded video. I'm Neil. I host the channel, and usually we do videos about philosophical texts, the old dead white philosophers like Aristotle, the Greek philosophers, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, or we do the continental people, Immanuel Kant, Hegel, those people, Rene Descartes, the French philosophers, and the contemporary, the newer. I guess they're not so. No, they're not contemporary, but they're newer, like Jean-Paul Sartre, or we also have Beauvoir. we talk about those people. It's fun, and we also do a lot of non-Western people, a lot of Eastern thinkers, like Sun Tzu, Art of War. We do Buddhism. We talk about like Taoism, Hinduism, all this philosophy. It's a blast. And we also talk about a lot of political philosophy, a lot of sociology. We do get into the woke territory. It's true. We're not shying away from that. But we also do the online discussions where I'm actually live interacting with viewers. And, we do that because that's part of philosophy. Philosophy is a dialogue, is a dialectic. And, it's about responding to people as, bouncing ideas off in real time, not just lecturing at you. So we're doing that. And so today's topic is the evolution of the internet. Let me read the description. Here, what do I have here? Cyberspace. The World Wide Web. the information superhighway. Nobody refers to the internet by those catchphrases anymore, but during the internet's early days, the hype was real. I remember. See, I'm Generation Y, the millennial generation. So I remember as a little kid, I didn't have internet. I just, you had to go to the library if you wanted to know the capital of like the Republic of Congo or something, or if you wanted to know what the weather is like in Mongolia. You couldn't just Google it. You had to actually visit a library, right? Okay, boomer. No, I'm not a boomer. I'm a millennial. Right? But I remember those days where we didn't have internet. So, but the internet was around, but it was very, very early days. Not everybody had it, and you had your modems where it's connected by a telephone line, and I just remember that. And so when the internet came out, it was super hype. You see all those cheesy advertisements. Like, yeah, the information superhighway. Yeah, cyberspace. The World Wide Web. You don't even say www.something.com. You just leave the www out now. But that was some hype. Anyway, the internet held the promise of utopia. It sure did. A place where all people would feel more connected to each other than ever before by sharing the totality of all mankind's knowledge. With access to all people and all knowledge, the rapid exchange of ideas would catapult humanity into an advanced level of collective wisdom. Yeah, it was like going to be a new dawn of humanity. That was what the internet was supposed to do. And yet, the internet has enabled isolation, polarization, and ignorance. What the hell happened? Like, what happened? So let's discuss. Like, how did the utopian idea of the internet kind of dive bomb into this dystopia that we have today? This hellscape that is the internet. What happened? Now, the internet's not all bad, right? Because we have places like here, like the YouTube channel Black Ponderer, but there's a lot of places like here. There's a lot of great internet websites and a lot of online spaces that are amazing and great and awesome. But there's also a lot of hellscapes, a lot of like horrible areas where you see all types of horrible garbage in like places that are just you see these places and you're confronted with the horrors of humanity, right? Like, so what happened? How did this occur? That's what we're going to talk about today. And Nadia, you say, I started using the internet around the age of 10, 2007. I had MySpace before moving to Facebook shortly after. Cool. So no, MySpace, yeah, that was, and so we could talk about internet before social media. MySpace was social media. We could talk about the Web 2.0. So when I started on the internet, we finally got a 28.8K modem, the one that made that weird sound. It sounds like a fax machine. It goes, it made a little crazy ass sound when you logged on to the internet, and it was slow as hell. But back then, that was that's as good as you got. So you didn't realize how slow it was because you're just getting information, right? But damn, that shit was slow. But it was awesome. And so when I first started, what age was I? I was like a late teenager, maybe 16 or so when I first started. And when was this? This was like 2002, I think. Yeah, dial up. Yeah, I had the dial up, and most people had that back then, if they even had the internet. I had the dial up. And this was before social media, so you had most of the internet was message boards and like internet forums. Right? It was a lot of internet forums, and these are like really like that. This is also before the internet was like pretty, or like people cared about graphic design, where it was just the internet basically looked like Reddit. You see Reddit, or like what's that website? Craigslist. uh, Craigslist, man, that site is nowhere near as popular as it used to be. But a lot of the internet looked like Craigslist, where it was like very bare bones, heavily text based, no graphic design at all, right? And then like you had these websites like called Geosites or Angel Fire, and there was another one where they gave you like the ability to make your own site. And nowadays we got stuff like Wix.com and like Squarespace and like all these services where you can design your own websites based on the template, or you can just hire somebody to design it for you. And you know, they really cater to like pretty looking things, but back then you need to know how to code with HTML. Now you really don't need to code, right, to make your own website. You really don't. Oh, and then you got Nadia says, I'm a user designer and so much has changed in terms of design, user and graphics. Yeah, people actually care about that because back in the day, nobody really cared. They're just like, hey, I just get information, man. And then hello, Jaga. The internet has barely entered its zygotic stage. I hope I pronounced that right. Any perceived hypertemporal observations of social behavior and implied modes are debatably trivial creaking of a newly installed wagon wheel. Oh, you're saying like we're still very early in the internet. I don't know about that. I think you can definitely like analyze like the state of anything even in its very early stages. Right? And you know, a lot of things happen so quickly too. It depends. Like that is kind of an argument. It's like yeah, you can't really judge things currently today because things are just getting started, so you're not getting an accurate, you know, you gotta look at it from the long you know, from the grander perspective, so you got to give it some time to develop. Some things are like that, some things aren't though. Some things have very quick time spans. Some things move so fast, you kind of do have to have that critical analysis like very early on, right? It's important, it's kind of important to do that with certain things, particularly like I would argue with computer technology, because computer technology moves so fast. You really do have to, it's not like geology, right, where things just move so slowly. You know, that really does depend on the context or what's happening. I think with like computer technology, like you really, it's okay. You do get a lot of insight and information just critically thinking about it and kind of judging it from the get-go. Because everything just moves so rapidly, right? Some things you really can't do that, like geology or like a country. For instance, some countries you can do that, like certain countries they just move so rapidly. Others like take a long time. You know, I don't know if they still say that about the United States of America. But some people were saying when I was maybe younger, they were saying, oh, you know, the United States of America is so young, so we really can't, you know, it's only 400 years old or whatever, you know, it started in the late 1700s. So you really can't know where it's going because, you know, there's some countries like China that are like thousands of years old. But it's like, obviously you can look at America and be like, and critically think about it, you know, and you can't just be like, well, it's so early, so you don't really know. Like, shit, America could fall within this year in terms of like, I mean, things are looking pretty bad here in this country. So, you know, this might be the end of our country's life cycle. I mean, who knows? You know, and you know, same thing with other things like the internet, I would say. And then Nadia says, my profession has only become a profession relatively recently. Yeah, no, that's true. Which is user design. Okay. Yeah, user design. Yeah, like, because, you know, back in the day, nobody cared about user design on the internet. Like, the internet looked so ugly with Angel Fire and Geosites. And like Envision, I think it was called like Envision message boards, which I think they still have. But where you can, but I think like stuff like Discord has now taken the place of those things, and Discord is like so much prettier than like a lot of these like WYSIWYG, old school WYSIWYG websites. And then we're barely entering the post-analog era. Not to say we can't explore discrete things, just speaking as a tangent. Us discussing the internet and unfolding digitization is akin to the pre-Socratics wonderings what thoughts might be. Just realize that this might not be the best medium for a longer typing. It's fine. Yeah, I'm worried for y'all. Collapse of America. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I know, right? I mean, but then it's pretty bad here. What I was gonna say is like, I mean, Canada. I mean, y'all got problems too, right? Yeah, y'all got problems in Canada too. But I guess when you look at America, it's pretty bad. But let's not pretend Canada. It's like, oh, I mean, y'all could fall too. But yeah, yeah. In terms of which country is probably better, yeah, Canada probably better. And I say this as an American. I mean, I'm not in the minority here. You're right. So to your point, like many Americans think like me. It's like, wow, our country is just fucked. Like, what is it? Patriot. Oh, I mess up. Being proud of your country is like kind of dwindling. Pride in one's country. It's not really a thing. I think I'm peaking too much. Let's see if I can turn that down a little bit. Just a tad. Let's make this 19 decibels. And maybe that'll work better. How do you think the internet is going to affect this upcoming election? Pretty horribly. We already seen how negatively it impacted the previous elections with all this this false information and people just believing in it. Right? People just don't think critically anymore about the information they receive, and that's part of what we'll talk about in the bigger discussion. And then now we got artificial intelligence doing things like what they call hallucinations is what they're calling this thing, where the AI will just give you information that just makes you happy, and it might not be true. AI literally is lying to you, but it's all, there's gonna be a lot of that too. So it's just gonna be it's just gonna be crazy. And then on top of that, our election, just to go off a little tangent, but we'll come back. I mean, we're just the candidates are not the best people, but personally, like, I mean, we got one that's like really bad and one that's like fairly shitty. So it's like, I'll pick the fairly shitty one over the really horrible one, which is Trump. Right? So there's that. Trump being that's how America will fall. Like, he will do that. Whereas Biden will be like, business as usual. America is shitty. Business as usual. Anyway, and then you say, no, definitely Canada is not perfect at all, but comparing to you guys, make it seem like, yeah, that's always good to have something like that to be like, well, we're pretty bad, but at least we're not as bad as y'all. It still is the case, Americans are like, oh, I'm running to Canada. Y'all way better. I mean, you still have that. I mean, my daughter says that. He's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go to Canada. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but like, don't be surprised when you meet a lot of the same crap over there that you do here. But overall, it probably would be better. But you still got that phenomena happening here in America. Like, yeah, I think I'm probably gonna go to Canada. It's probably better. So it's true. Okay, so in terms of the, and then you say she'll need to bring money bags if she wants to live here. Sadly, I know, right? Well, I don't know, but I mean, I'm from California, where it's like, yeah, you need to be super rich to live in California now. So I kind of get that part. But I hear like some parts of Canada are like California, where it's like what is it, Vancouver? I hear it's like that. It's like super expensive to live there. And somebody who's from the San Francisco Bay Area, no, I totally get that. I moved out and went to the boondocks of the South America, the South of the United States of America to afford to live. So Vancouver and Toronto are on the same par as San Francisco. Okay, that's pretty fucking bad because San Francisco is an unlivable. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, oh my god. But that I hear that too. So that's pretty fucking bad. Yeah, I feel sorry. You know, it's hard. That's rough. That's rough. You know, that's rough. But yeah, with the internet, yeah. So you had all these sites where you could make your own little sites, but it was all badly divided. And I remember this, and it was cool because, yeah, I remember back when I was in elementary, when I was really little, like third grade, like 10 years old. We had these pen pals, and I remember I had a pen pal from Russia, and we would write. You know, it was like an exchange program where you wrote letters and you'd send them in to the teacher. It was like some exchange program that they did, what schools would do. And it was so cool. You know, I remember the novelty of that. Like, wow, I'm talking to somebody from all the way on the other side of the world. And it was just a kid from Russia. And you know, I'm older, so it was like the early 90s. So that was when the USSR just fell, right? And so you got a lot of context, a lot of you learned a lot of history, and that was. It was so crazy. I remember as a little kid, like, wow, I'm talking to somebody from way over the side of the world. And it's just interesting now we have the internet where that's just not even that big of a deal right now, right? I mean, some of you watching are maybe that will watch later, maybe from, parts of the Eastern Hemisphere, right? Russia or wherever. And it's just not a big deal like it used to be, right? But I remember it was so novel back in those days to be able to just the idea of talking to somebody from outside your country that was a crazy thing. So that's one cool thing that the internet has brought us. And then you ask, how did you get interested in computer science enough to study it? Oh, I just wanted to make video games. I was a gamer, really hardcore into video games. And you might say, well, yeah, like a lot of people play games, but most people who play video games don't want to actually make them. But for me, it was like, yeah, I enjoy, and they just became like I was obsessed with them. And I think it was 2 games I played. Eventually, I played The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and I was like, wow, this is some crazy. It was like a religious experience. That game was so awesome. I played that, and then after I was like, man, I really want to dedicate my life. I'm a gamer. Right? That was that game really solidified my identity as a gamer. And then after that I played Final Fantasy VII, not these remakes, which are great, but the original one. And that's when I knew, because that game was it was awesome to me. That's when I decided, I think I want to make video games. Because this is just, if I can make something like this, that'll just be crazy. And so I was like, well, how do you do it? Like, oh, you gotta learn how to program. It's like, okay, well, computer science, let's go, baby. Yeah. And you ask, yeah, I think about how I come to your live streams tuning in from Toronto, and I feel like I know you even though you probably don't feel the same way about me, which is interesting dynamic. Oh, we're buddies, we're pals. See, that's the thing now in the internet. the internet has granted. So that's a good thing. That's a good. You can make online buddies. You can make friends with people you've never met in real life, that's cool. And so the internet had this promise. It was like when it first came out, they're like, oh, it's gonna be so amazing. You'll be able to make friends from people around the world, people you can ever actually meet in real life, or like, yeah, in person. You can meet them online and you could become friends, and it'll be so cool. Like people will be everybody will have new friends, and your circle of friendship will expand exponentially, and it won't just be kumbaya. And that was the whole. I remember that promise when the internet came out, and a lot of that happened. But then there was this opposite effect that happened, which you see on websites like Twitter or X now, or a lot of social media where people are very hateful to each other, or like YouTube comment section where you see a lot of hate comments, and then you see that, and it's like, damn, people are very vicious, and oftentimes people are more vicious to each other than they would ever online than they would ever be in person. So it's kind of like that. The opposite has happened too, where it's like, man, the viciousness has been enabled even further on the internet. So, that's a phenomenon to examine. And then you say, I'm finishing up my master's degree in user design, and they have a user design for video games class I have been wanting to take. Use graphic user interface, GUI. Right? That's a very big thing in gaming. Of course, there are people who that's their job, is they just develop the graphical user interface for video game. That's all they do. Right? It's very important. Sometimes some video game studios are so huge they'll have a whole team of people just dedicated on that alone. Right? And it makes sense why, because you're seeing that interface like all the time, right? As you play the game, so you hope you want that you don't want that to annoy people. So that's cool. I thought you had Nadia. I thought you had a degree in photography, but maybe I was tripping, or maybe you got. Hey, this is I'm doing. Or do you have like a bachelor's in photography and now you're getting a master's in design, user design? Is that what's going on? That's cool. Oh, it was your undergrad. Cool. I love photography. That should be my next live stream. Talk about photography. Because I do that a lot too. But anyway, yeah, so the internet. And then, and just going through the history of it, and then you had your Napster era where people started downloading not only music, but Napster was music, but, there was all types of things you could just download illegally or torrent. You had all these torrent websites. And that was a huge part of the internet. It still is, right? It still is. But that was the whole novelty of it. Like, oh, this is just a place where I can just get free shit. Movies and music and, information. And, that was part of the utopia, right? It was like, oh, data is going to be accessible and free for everybody. But of course, people are like, yeah, but I'm a creator, and I make money off of music, and I got to get paid, right? So you can't just steal my shit. So there's that whole back and forth that was going on, and eventually that worked out where. I guess Steve Jobs was the one that kind of like settled that with iTunes. He's like, hey, I got this thing called, what was it? The first one? iPod. The iPod. And I'm going to open this thing called the iStore or whatever it was called. And so we can make this work. He was the one. And so that whole dynamic of copyright was kind of settled slowly. But the creators still are being exploited and not getting paid what they should, and all this. So there's still that kind of crap that's going on. I'll be looking out for more of your photography on Instagram. Yeah, I need to take that. I need to do more of that. I was about to bust out my camera, but you know what? I think I'm gonna save that for another stream and talk about that. And so, like, you have the whole, you have that whole sharing of files. And then, eventually the Web 2.0 happened, right? Web 2.0, where they, not only did people who were designing websites were like, hey, we should kind of focus on graphic design. Let's like start making things look pretty. And so there was, and then social media came into the thing, right? MySpace was an early one. You had LiveJournal. I remember back in the day, LiveJournal was huge. But I think that was ugly internet, LiveJournal. And those were the precursors. Eventually, we had the Facebook, right? Facebook really was the one that like took the internet by the storm and like, okay, let's, and if you think about it, social media, Facebook in particular, MySpace, it had its thing, but MySpace was still kind of open. And it encouraged you to make friends, not with just your inner circle, but I remember MySpace, it did have this open this interface where you could still like easily make friends with people from other countries or other parts of the world, and different it wasn't the algorithms, I guess. I don't know how it was built, but the algorithms were not as demographically oriented, so it's still kind of free. In terms of, but then Facebook kind of made it where the focus was more on like inner circles and like your immediate family or your inner circle, and it kind of like, okay, you're gonna make connections with people and we're gonna prioritize that. And I think that's kind of like really what kind of made this new framework for the internet. You're saying it was big in my circle. Oh, so you're saying something else. I'll be looking. Let's see what's being said here. Also, I love photography, so you definitely got to put it on the list. Yeah, I'll probably do that next. That'll be cool because we got something. We can talk about that. I can talk about my love of film because I use a film camera, which is awesome. Right? I still use film, and you can do that still pretty cheaply. Some people say like, "Oh, that's pretty expensive." It's like, no, you can buy cheap ass film. You just gotta like not care about like buying expensive film, but they still I still just go walk into a store and just buy cheap film, like that 3mm stuff. And I'm good, right? But yeah, that's something we can talk about. And then you say MSN Messenger. Yep, I remember MS. I didn't use that one that much, but I remember that. It was big in my circles. Yep, that was a chat. It's funny, I remember people were pushing Discord on me. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really trying to use all that. And then so many people were using it. I was like, okay, let me see what's going on. And I saw it. I'm like, oh, this is basically AIM. This is America Online Instagram Instant Messenger. This is AIM, or like this is MSN Messenger. That's what this is. It's just a better version of that. Like it's just a very detailed chat room. That's what it is. It's based off of that same format, that MSN Messenger. I would argue like Discord is basically MSN Messenger, but just better. Right? So once I figured that out, I was like, oh, okay, this is just like a better version of that. So I'll use it. But so with what I was saying with Facebook, you started really focusing on the inner circles, and that's when like it kind of pushed people's because human beings we're kind of tribal people by nature, I would argue, and I would argue we're kind of tribal. Like we kind of tend to get into our cliques, but That's not always the case. We kind of like default to that. But human beings also love to be out. We're kind of adventurous, right? We do like to venture off into other realms and talk to different people. Lots of people have wanderlust, right? People travel the world or they make friends. Some people, but we do like to get into our tribes, right? Like these are my people. And so I think Facebook was like the one that really kind of exploited that aspect of us and kind of like really forced it upon us. Like exploit. It's like how human beings are naturally drawn to sugar, right? And then like a lot of food corporations are like, we'll just put sugar in everything because human beings are drawn. But now we have too much of it because we need sugar to survive. So it's like we innately desire it, but it's too much now. Like we're surrounded by sugar. So it's kind of like we have these unhealthy, it's kind of like this overindulgence that's being pushed onto us. I feel like social media is that. It's like it's taking advantage of human beings' natural tendencies, but being pushed to the extreme, right? And now the internet is kind of like that. It's kind of based off of this model of like inner circles and tribe and being with my people. Whereas when the internet started, it wasn't like that at all. Like that, the idea was like, we're gonna expand your inner tribe. Like we're going to like make you realize that there are other things besides your inner circle. Or that's the whole like the internet was like, forget about your people, like the whole world are your people. Right? That was when the internet first started, right? That was the whole utopian concept, but that has not occurred, right? The opposite has occurred, I would argue. And then don't feel the need to read my post out loud, not trying to cause verbal congestion. Yeah, but that's how I process the information. That's fine. So I'm going to read it just so I can process it helps me out when I do that. And then Jaga says, it seems that over the past 15 years, the abstract spatial layout of the internet and the user's manner of wayfinding has completely shifted. Urban design and psychogeography are quite relevant associations here. Okay. I'm gonna read your thing out loud because just so I can process the information. Initially, the internet was very much a walkable environment full of nooks and crannies akin to a European city-state, and hence it was easier to fall into these pockets of culture. Though the 2010s, the social highways have been erected in full legitimacy, and most applications and destinations have been made extremely accessible. So you're saying the first internet was a walkable environment, nooks and crannies. I felt, when I was a teenager and I first got the internet, I didn't feel like it had nooks and crannies, but that's my personal. I felt like everything was open. Like I felt like I think now there's a lot of nooks and crannies, but back then it was like, it's like that game Minecraft, or like it's like open world video games, like Elder Scrolls or like Breath of the Wild. It's like everything was available. It was so open. There were no nooks and crannies. It was just like everything was exposed, and you could just go anywhere, for better or worse. Like there was just no filters, like you could go to explore all types of cultures, or you can like delve into dark depths of like really horrid things very easily. You could just go and I like that, but that's how that was my experience. And then you say, I've been erected in full legitimacy, and most applications are extremely accessible. But have they been extremely accessible? I don't know. I think a lot of the internet is now like, it's not, that openness is just not. I mean, it's there, but we have all these algorithms. The internet is also just like dictated by a lot of algorithms and a lot of like, just like people who have set the code of the internet is kind of forcing things onto you. It's more so like, because now you got all these recommendations and suggestions, and you should do this, you should like this. Oh, I know you're into this, so you should do this. But when it started, it was like, I don't know what the hell you're into. Here's everything, right? And like, do you, bro? And that way, like, and it's really, it's challenging now, which is kind of funny because everything is still openly available to you for the most part. But it's harder because you have to kind of like escape the whole like suggestion, the algorithm suggesting you this, and this. You kind of have to be like, well, I want to do something else. Right? But that's just me. And then you're saying, the emergent morphology has seemingly eliminated the drive for the internet walking in ruralism. On the morphology, in other words, the abstract infrastructure, which is quite hard to formalize into words as it is highly psychological, of the internet dissuaded users from enjoying the 2000s mode of the internet. I just think, like, I think what happened ultimately was capitalism just, got its claws on the internet, and they're like, oh shit, this is a great way for us to make money. So, we're gonna like put people in demographics, and so we can sell products to them. And that's all really the internet is now. It's just a bunch of demographics. That's why, like, I mean, this is kind of more of an opinion now, but I don't know. I think this is fairly true. It's like we're placed in these like tribes because then it's easy to sell products. Because then that, people who make products, they could be like, oh, I know who I can directly sell my product to these people because I know they're gonna like it. Right? And the whole internet is now just like, it's a hellscape, but it's very, and it's beautiful too. There are beautiful parts to it, but it's highly tailored to like corporations selling you shit. Like that's what the internet is now. And the morphology of the internet, or like the structure, the infrastructure of the internet, is an infrastructure that is highly catered to like advertisers and like corporations, right? Corporate agendas, right? Ad revenue, like that's it's all based off of ad revenue now. And so that's where the tribalism comes, because the tribes are really just demographics, right? Where marketers can get their information like, okay, I have this product, can I push this on? Well, I can't push it on everybody because everybody's not going to like it. I got to know the specific people that I can push this to who I know can buy it. And I think that's, a lot of the internet has become that now. And that's a shame, right? But let me keep reading here. Let me see the time. And you're saying tries professional sports leagues and simplify this. Right. People will just, it's crazy how people, but I'm not knocking it. I used to be, but then I got out there. I used to be, American football. There's a sports team. It's called the Raiders, because I'm from Oakland, California. And we used to have the Raiders, the Oakland Raiders. Now they're in Las Vegas now, I think. But I used to be a Raiders fan. But back when I was a Raiders fan, they were just losing like constantly, and people would just be so worked up over it, and just so like their nerves would be all really like worked up, and they'd be so stressed over a game. And I'm like, this is kind of stupid. I'm not gonna, now it's like I don't care. I don't have a favorite sports team anymore. And I honestly don't care who wins and who loses. I just watch the game just for the fun of it. I don't care who wins and who loses. The same thing with the Olympics too. Like I don't, people are like, well, don't you care? America is. I don't give a fuck. I watch it because I just like the sports and people competing, and that's fun. But do I care how many medals my country has? I don't give a shit about that. I mean, hey, whoever wins the medals deserve it, and they train hard, and they're from like Zimbabwe, then hey, that's good. And they lost to my country, then hey, they're better than us in terms of that sport. That's good on them. Like, I'm glad to have witnessed the cool competitiveness and the skill and the technique. That was cool. I'm not a very competitive person, but yeah, people will. I remember, you would watch sports games and baseball. I remember the year when the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. I think for the first time ever. So I think it was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I forgot. And you saw people crying. I mean, literally, like people were praying. They were praying. Like, please they would show like while the sport was going on, you see people like on their hands and knees praying to God, please win. And then you see people crying. I'm like, that's just too much for sports. I'm sorry. Call me judgmental, but I mean, there's better things to pray about than like a sports game. I'm sorry. That's just me. So, but yeah, there's a huge, people like their tribes, and you can definitely see that in sports for sure. And then you're saying that older type of hyper-pocketed and culturally rich fungolidity is as possible and available as ever. People simply don't seek them. Yeah, it's definitely, the internet is still like a huge open, there's even more information and data and things you can explore on the internet now, because the internet is much bigger than it was when I was a kid. It's just like, it's not only because people don't seek them, it's because the internet is structured in a way that doesn't make it easy. It doesn't encourage the seeking. The internet doesn't encourage people to seek new things. The internet is structured in a way that encourages people to just stick in their old ways, to remain in their inner circles, and to like get mad at people who don't agree with what you think. Right? And social media is definitely structured in that way, right? Facebook, even like TikTok, is like, even though that's like a Chinese corp, I mean, it's still it's the same shit. It's like you're gravitating toward things you agree with, and if you don't agree with it, it's not pushed onto you, right? And it has an agenda too, just like all these social medias. Instagram, which is Facebook, they're the same corporation, man. Right? It's the same shit. All those media, they're all just tailored. They're when you want to seek new things, like and that's the shame. That's what I'm saying. Like, the internet is not structured in a way that encourages you to like seek out like people and ideas outside your inner circle. It's structured in the opposite way, where it keeps you insulated, right? And and that's the problem. That's a problem. Well, let me see what else you're saying. I.e., we have changed as netizens, rather than some macro degradation inherent in the structure of the internet. Actually, you're right. Wrong use of words. Everything was immediately available at the surface pretty easily. I guess I'm describing the breadth of personal websites, etc. Yeah. I mean, even back then, people, like what I was saying before, we had these WYSIWYG websites, which don't exist anymore, right? Or they might exist, but people probably just don't. They probably like are in archival status or something. These WYSIWYG websites where you had to like actually know HTML code to develop your own website, and everybody like made their own websites, and it was free too. It was free. Like you didn't have to pay anybody to do it. I remember that. I was mentioning Angel Fire and GL Sites. I'm sure there were others, right? But those are two I remember. And people would design fan sites based off of the things they loved, and it was ugly as fuck. But everybody had a little personal site. Now everybody just has like a social media page, right? Like nobody has their own website. And you know, nowadays with websites, if people want to make websites, they go on things like Squarespace, where they just like, hey, you know, could you just do this for me? Like they either have like, which is fine, you know, they have templates that you pick, and then you know, a lot of design work is just done for you, which is okay. And even these sites aren't really personal; they're more like business oriented. It's usually people who like make websites on Squarespace or whatever. Wix is another one. They're not really making a personal website. They're just making a site to sell a product or a service, right? And then you got stuff like Substack. You know, it used to be WordPress, but that's like not popular anymore. What was Blogger? That's Google's one. Although I don't know, they might have another one now. But Substack, I think it's those blogger websites. Not vlogger, not video. Like they still got this. I was a little surprised when I was like, because I heard Substack. I'm like, what the hell is this Substack? I'm like, oh, it's like a blogger page, and blogging is still a thing. I didn't realize like people, and so that's more of a personal sites, and you have those still, and those are cool. It's kind of interesting, yeah. And so I kind of deep dive in Substack, and I was like, yeah, this is quite reminiscent of like the way the internet used to be, where people kind of used the internet like a journal or a diary, which is kind of cool. But you know, there's still some differences there as well. And then Nadia says, I experienced the internet before there was much awareness of the dangers of being on the internet, and I was 10 years old with a MySpace, Facebook, and MS Messenger account. I remember talking to many strangers. And that's just too bad that it's a danger to do that, but it is. I mean, it should be good to talk to strangers on the internet. That's great. But, you know, a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of malicious people out there, which that's too bad. Yeah, it's too bad that we can't just talk to strangers and not be worried about like grooming or like, you know, somebody trying to abuse you and shit, or like, you know, the old man trying to like, you know, take advantage of a little girl. I mean, that kind of bullshit, you know, which happens. So, and those can be dangerous. You're not trying to belittle that. That's a true danger, and but it's too bad. That's the thing, but it is a thing. It's true. A few years later, it was common practice in my friend groups to mess around on chat roulette and Omegle. I don't even know what those are, but that's cool. Chat roulette, which as a middle schooler wasn't really appropriate and exposed me to a lot at a young age. Okay. Well, I mean, you know, that's the internet, right? The internet, you know, a lot of young people see a lot of inappropriate shit on the internet. But I think that's just par for the course. You know, I'm sure like plenty of youngsters, and they go to a porn site for the first time and they're seeing all, you know, all the shit. They're like, oh wow. Problem is that you start seeing like going to porn sites and then you think like, oh, so this is what sex is. And it's not, right? That's not what's, you know, so you get this false idea of what, you know, sex is. And so that's the thing, right? But then you know, there's all these other things you encounter on the internet. That's why it's good to, you know, it's good to have a guide. But you know, I'm thinking about some people that I know where they live in very restrictive family environments. Their family is very restrictive and they don't allow people, you know, is very censored. And so, but it's funny, like, you can try your damnedest to be like, no internet for you, but a child is going to figure it out eventually. They're gonna figure out some way to get on the internet. I know somebody's like, look, I had a Nintendo DS, and the Nintendo DS has an internet browser, so that was their way of getting on the internet, right? And then the floodgates open. So it's gonna happen eventually. Like your child, you can't censor them. They're gonna figure out some way to look. So the best thing you can do as a parent, if you're like, oh, I'm afraid that my child is gonna see, you just gotta accept the fact, like, look, your child's gonna see a lot of shit, because it's just gonna happen. So you need to be ready and say, like, okay, I know you're gonna see a lot of shit, and so let me tell you what you're gonna see and why this is, if, for example, a porn site, like, you're gonna see, like, look, porn sites are gonna give you a flavor of sex that's not real. It's fantasy. And it's like patriarchal fantasy, right? And it's, for the most part, if you go to these like big, easy to access porn site, you're gonna be seeing like, very patriarchal, unrealistic, fantasticals, and there's many different ways to have sex that are not gonna be shown here on these websites. So, don't get obsessed with them. I mean, that's a version of it, but you gotta have these conversations, right? Or any other type of thing that you might see on the internet. You gotta because they're gonna see it. Your kids are gonna see it. You might not see it in your house, but they might go to a friend's house. They might go to the library. They might get some device that they sneak in. So you just gotta be the guide. You gotta let them know. So yeah, there's that. And then you say, Omegle and Chat Roulette were video chat sites. Oh, it pairs random users to that chat online via video. Oh, right, I've heard of those. There's like, I'm familiar with like Monkey something. It's something Monkey. Yeah, I've heard of those. Those are, wow. Yeah, I remember seeing that. I was like, whoa. Like, they didn't have stuff like that when I was on the internet as a kid. But because we didn't have the bandwidth. Our internet connections the speed wasn't capable of doing that video, like that super fast video chat. Now, like with these hyper fast internet speeds, you can totally do that. Yeah, it's kind of a marvel that we're able to. Because, I remember back in dial-up, there's no way in hell you could just be like bouncing back and forth with different people, video and audio. Damn. But that's a state of technology today. But yeah, I mean, it'll pair you with like an old ass perverted man. I can see it, so yeah, you definitely got to be careful with that. Yeah, shit. Yeah, I'm just thinking about like I'm thinking about like how easily somebody could take advantage of somebody with those, but they must have some sort of safeguards, or they probably don't. You didn't need to sign up, so everyone was anonymous. Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to but you definitely don't have to share like your, I wonder what the craziest experience you had on those sites. I'm sure you must have some crazy ass experiences with some people, but you don't have to share. But if you want, that would be curious to be like, man, yeah, I saw this one person on my video chat. He was doing some crazy ass shit, man. It was nuts. That's funny. Yeah, that. I'm just thinking about that. Yeah, I remember I saw that. That's actually a bad idea. I'm thinking like random, because if you're a kid and you're doing that, that's a little too open. Everything in moderation. Everything with limits. I like open, but yeah, that's just a formula for disaster. Because you could get paired with any motherfucker. You're doing anything. Anyway, yeah, we're about to. It looks like we passed our hour mark, so I guess we will conclude, unless if anybody has any other questions or comments. Let me bring back up my description here. And yet the internet has enabled isolation. Yeah, so I guess my point is, the current state of the internet. We got Jaga talking about the infrastructure, or the way the internet is like designed now. The internet is like, it's heavily, basically it's oriented off of social media, right? Most people on the internet are doing it via social media accounts. And social media is catered, to keep people in little demographics, little tribes, right? And there's not so much more of an encouragement for people to go outside of their tribe or outside of their demographic. And that's a lot of that dissuasion is done via algorithms, right? Where things are constantly pushed onto you that reinforce the things you already believe in, and they push you in the circles that you already in. And a lot of and what are these things that are being pushed? They're products. They're commercial products and services, right? Because ultimately that's what the internet is catered to, right? Because a lot of these corporations that make money off of the internet, Facebook, Meta, right? Or X, X, right? Even TikTok, right? Even TikTok, right? Because there's this whole thing about, TikTok is a threat to China, to American security, because it's a Chinese company and they don't have our best interests. That's true, right? But as if Meta has the best interests of America's security, or any other, like they all are dangerous, right? None of them give a fuck about anybody. So I don't know, it's the same shit to me. But some people are like, I like TikTok because they don't have an agenda. It's like, no, they definitely got an agenda. And it's not, I'm sure like China does use it to like spy or whatever, or do like intel or whatever, sure. But more so what they're doing, they're just using it to make money as well, right? That's really the ultimate reason why TikTok exists. And that's why China likes, they're using it to gather funds in capital, right? Because even though they're called the Communist Party of China, they're fucking capitalists over there. Like, don't make no mistake about it. Like, it's pretty much a capitalist country run in an authoritarian style, right? So there's that. But yeah, so it's all about putting people in categories and marketplaces where it's easy to sell products, right? And this is not very conducive at all to expanding your vision of the world, gathering new ideas, critically talking to people who disagree with you, exchanging ideas that are very different and diverse. None of that helps sell products, right? And that's why it's not, the internet doesn't favor those type of activities. You see like in people shouting at each other on the internet. You see like a Twitter war, flame war, or something like that, and those get huge thumbs ups and huge likes, and they get very high exposures, right? And you might say like, well, those are the people. The people should stop debating. Yeah, but the internet is designed in a way that makes those kinds of activities very easy to do, right? And if you want to like have a critical discussion with somebody, it's very difficult, because you can't do it on Twitter. You can't do it on X, because there's only a certain amount of words you can put on the day of post, right? It's the same thing with a lot of these social. They're not conducive to like free exchange of ideas, really. They're conducive to selling you products, right? And you buying them. And this is why, and this is what the internet has evolved into. It evolved into a marketplace not a marketplace of ideas, even though like that's problematic too. A marketplace of ideas. There should be no marketplace. It should just be a free exchange of ideas, right? But that's not the internet. Started out as that the promise of that, like, but it has now evolved into a place primarily used to sell you products, right? And that's sad. And it's just too bad. But that's the state of things. But what I'm going to do, I'm always going to have my my YouTube channel, and I fully acknowledge. And then I see Nadia, I think this is wrapping up, but I'm happy to share a couple of stories in the comments later. Yeah, you can do that, or you can do that now. It's fine. Whatever. I'm here. I'm chilling. Or you can do it later in the comments. Whenever, if you're here, I'm here for as long as you are, basically. But if you gotta go, feel free to cut out. This was the little girl. This was the little girl on Omega getting paired with anyone. Right. I could only imagine. But what else? Can you not see my messages above? I don't think I can. Oh. A few years later, it was common practice. No, I don't think I can. I don't see your messages. Unless, okay. Let me change. Live chat. And I was saying, talking a few years later, it was common practice in my friend groups to see a lot. You didn't need to sign up. No, I'm sorry, I missed your messages. That's too bad, but yep, nope, not seeing them. But it's fine. You can just post them later, no problem. But yeah, what I was gonna say, I have my YouTube channel. And I'm well aware, like I'm not gonna ever monetize my channel. I mean, never say never. But I just fucking hate ads. I do. They're very annoying to me, and they're not worth the money that I can make on. They're just not. And so I know, because I'm not gonna. I know, like, there's only I've hit this plateau, and I'm not gonna get more subscribers and views. I've definitely plateaued. For well over a year, where I just have not grown, and that's just because it's for many reasons. I think it's my subject matter, and that's one, and the quality of my videos, but I think it's primarily because I don't monetize, and I have no interest in doing that, and so YouTube's not pushing my videos because it's like he doesn't have a demographic we can push on to, so we can't get. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, I don't care. And then you say, "Oh yeah, I did see that," and that this was the little girl getting paired with. Okay, I did see that. Yeah, that's just. I mean, I don't think that's a good idea to have a website where you have little children just getting paired with like random adults. Probably not the best idea. In video chat, probably not the best idea. Right. I'm all about free exchange of information, but human nature is and some humans don't have the best intentions. So everything in moderation, right? Everything, you gotta put limits. But yeah. So I've accepted the fact. Look, I'm just not going to be a big channel, and that's fine. That's fine, because I'm not interested in participating in the current structure of the internet. Then Jaga says it's largely because you're a React channel for a medium which has fallen out of popularity. Books, okay. You could whip up video essays and easily get motion. Right. Yeah, you're probably right. Well, Dan and I also, I think it's primarily because I haven't monetized, right? I think that's primarily what the issue is. Because I think if you monetize, I've heard like YouTube will then push your video onto like, you'll immediately start pushing your video to many more eyes, which I'm just like, I just fucking hate ads. I understand like they put ads on my videos anyway, right? I get that. Like there's ads on my videos, but they're not like highly targeted and they're not like as intrusive. So yeah, no, thank you. But yeah, like you're saying, like I could do video essays, and not saying you should, just pointing it out. Right. Yeah, I get it. It's like so that's the thing. It's like, yeah, but what if you just want to do what you want to do? Right? Like maybe like I don't want to do video or essays or whatever, but yeah, I know what you're saying. You're like, that's what you got to do. And so that's what I'm saying is like, you have to cater. You have to like do different things than what you originally want to do, right? To be successful. And video essays are just they're ways of advertising. Like, you'll have a video essay and then they'll show you like some advertisement of like a book publisher or something, or like, or like, you have a video essay off of psychoanalysis, and then you'll get an advertisement off like BetterHelp or something, or like some therapy like company or something, which is fine, but yeah, it's always about like, you got to do something that like we can easily like put into a package that that can fit into a demographic, right? And yeah, I don't think so. Not me. How's your Patreon going? I signed up, but I'm not really a Patreon user, so I don't check it. Just sign up to show my support. Yeah, no, it's going good. I think you're a study buddy. I didn't expect it to blow up, but yeah, I have a few study buddies, which is so on Patreon. In case you're watching and you don't know my Patreon, I do a Patreon, and I think $1 a month. You can look at my videos where I'm studying. A lot of people do those, like those study videos, and I do that, but it's on my Patreon. Right? Yeah, that's just $1 a month. I got a few of those, and I got like one book club person, but the book club person doesn't actually interact. I think they're just there to support, which is, hey, I'll take that. I think that's $5 a month, or I forgot. I'll take that. I think they just want to support, which is that's cool. But they don't really want to really be in a book club. But I do have my whoever wants to join, we can start up a little book club, and that's on the Discord, and that'll be a good time. But that's your decision. Check out my Patreon. It's linked in one of my links on my about page or whatever. Check it out. And this is only slightly related to the internet, but I'm often asking myself the question, what is the medium, the relevant media for ideas, to be specific? What do you mean? What is the medium? Like, what is the method of exchanging ideas? Like the medium? Like is that what you're asking? Like, how best should we exchange ideas? Like, what is the substance that is used to exchange ideas? I don't know what you're saying. And then I don't know what you're asking. Nadia says, racism, child sexual abuse at the time of its closure. $22 million lawsuit, which was filed in 2019 over users from Oregon who became a victim. Well, I mean, I don't know how you could not understand that would inevitably happen, right? That would inevitably happen. I don't understand how they would have thought that would not have happened, right? That you would not get sued. That was bound to happen. yeah, but I mean, I'm sure you got that. But apparently, I guess the people that ran that company was like, "Oh, we'll figure it out." It's like, no, no. It's really unclear currently, and sadly, YouTube video essays are our latest funnel for ideas, but they're largely entertainment. Yeah, that's the thing with video essays. Some are really good, but a lot of them are just like focused on aesthetics and just making prettiness, which is, I'm not downplaying aesthetics. That's cool. I'm more about like, you know, critical analysis of ideas and depth of thought, and really like pushing, really thinking, push me. Like, I want you to challenge my conception of things, right? And you don't have to have good aesthetics for that. But I guess I'm in the minority there. I think if they think the content creators, they think like, well, if I push them too far, they're not going to want to watch my video. So I got to make it somewhat like not alienating, right? But alienate me, man. I'm good. I'm cool. Nadia says, in 2020, a Canadian teacher was arrested at his home in Gulf after he broadcast child porn. Wow. Yeah, well. Yeah. So, I mean, like we were saying. Sure. Yeah. What is the modern medium for, say, a philosopher? It's no longer a book. It is. It's a book. Yeah, it is. Like philosophers, you just gotta be you just gotta pick up a book. There's a ton of philosophers today that are writing books, and people are engaged with it. You just gotta get on the correct Discord group. And you gotta be on the direct websites. And you gotta get off the social media. Yeah, because that's not where it's happening. That's not where it's happening. You got to get on and go on meetup.com and check out your local philosophy group. And I would definitely say the medium is still books. I'm in my local philosopher scene, which is, it's pretty decent. We got here in Memphis, Tennessee, there's a pretty significant philosophy scene. As a lot of it is not online though. We talk about books, and I'm in many book clubs that are like in-person book clubs, and so the medium is like in-person discussion, and like books. Yeah, absolutely. But I would say, but I wouldn't denigrate online discussion. That's cool too, like what we're having now, and that's a medium for philosophy too. But is a medium for philosophy video essays? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's kind of the only reason why I wanted to do online discussion. Because I was like, yeah, it's still like you're just talking at me, and I'm not really exchanging ideas. Which is what a huge part of philosophy is, the exchange of ideas, not just like one-way direction. Which is what a lot of these video essays are. But I mean, there's a lot of discourse in the comments section, but a lot of times the content creator doesn't interact with their content, with their comment section, which is understandable because comment sections can be pretty shitty places. But they also have a lot of gems too. So I don't know. Share. Sure. Yeah. What is the yeah? I would say. And Nadia says, I'm down for a book club. Well, I mean, let me go on my page. It does cost money. That's a different level. And I understand, like, times are tough. But what is it? Yeah, book club member is $5 a month. And you can I have a Discord server, Black Ponderer Discord, and we just read a book of the choosing of the club. We vote on a book, and then we just have some, like, it's just like for us, and we're talking about it. and it'll be fun. Yeah, we could just have it's just going to be our book. Now, when I finish the book, I probably will still make a video about it and put it on the YouTube channel. But we can have our own personal discussion with the book club, and we can read, and we can have book meetings, and maybe we can even do video chat. If that's something you're into. It's not going to be like Omegle or whatever the fuck that shit is called. There's gonna be no child pornography there. Right now, that's one of the other reasons why I don't monetize, because you can't even say certain words. If you say certain words like child pornography, your video will become demonetized. But I never have to worry about that, because my videos are never demonetized, or never monetized anyway. But it's just gonna be critical discussion. And then let's see. Personally, my distaste with all the newspheric entertainment on YouTube is that there are no ideas being proposed. There's too much recycling, analysis of already thoughts. Yeah, that's kind of the reasons why I started this channel to begin with. I did feel like it was just people kind of just regurgitating ideas, or else just people like, when I was first starting the channel, I told this story many times. When I was like, I started this channel because this was the channel that I wanted to see that wasn't there. It was just people just, like, you want to learn about Friedrich Nietzsche's will to power? Well, I'll explain it to you. Or like, you want to know about Rene Descartes' I think therefore I am concept? Well, let me explain it to you. It's like, well, no, I can figure that out on my own. What I want is for you to, like, what do you think about it, and how does that relate to today, right? Or like, I want you to build upon that. Like, let's like create new ideas based off of the things that we're saying. Right? Don't just give me the idea again. Like, let's build on that idea, right? Because that's philosophy. Is like, so you know what the will to power is. So how are you then going to implement that idea in a way that's constructive? Like, you say you're a Nietzschean, so how are you actually using your appreciation of Nietzschean ideas to make your life better? Right? That's what I want to know. Or like, you say you're a Hegelian, okay? Why are you a Hegelian? Like, no, I don't need that. What I want you. My reconnection successful. Okay, OBS studio. Okay, looks like I'm good. Okay, hopefully I didn't cut out too badly there. But what I don't want you to explain to me the master slave dialectic. I want you to tell me, how are you using that idea in your life constructively, progressively? Like, how are you implementing that idea, and how could we use it today to further advance society? Or is that something that we can do? Like, that's what I want. So yeah, I agree. I only cut out for 1 second. Okay, yeah, that's just a thing that's gonna happen, but that's cool. Just 1 second. And then Fred Moulton is writing at the moment, critical theorist. He's really great. Here in Toronto, the Toronto Public Library is the most used public library system in the world. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's cool to have public libraries in use. I go to my library all the time because books are expensive, man. I'm aware of people still read and publish books, but what's apparent is that it's losing potency. There's some multimedia thing, which is the next medium for philosophical expression, but it's hard to imagine what that actually will look like. I don't know if I agree with that. I think books are not losing their potency. I think there's always going to be a disdain for books. There's always a disdain for books, and there's always going to be people like, psh, I don't read books. Fuck books. There's always going to be that. But there's also always going to be people that are reading books and want to talk about them and want to engage in discussion about them. And I think that's never going to get old, and the book is a format that will always never, I don't think it will ever, I don't think we're going to find a better format for information than the book. Right? Some people say, well, what about visual learners? And, the video is videos are great, but it is not a replacement for books. It never will be. Right? Because it's just, something about the way you engage in a book. It kind of forces you to like develop your ideas. You become very active in thinking, right? And whereas a video is kind of, you can more let the video speak for you, and it's a lot less like engagement on the mind, and it's like the aestheticness of a video kind of takes away a lot of the critical thought. Now, there's a lot of video, and I love video, right? I make YouTube videos, absolutely, and I'm really big into film, and I'm really big into photography too. And a good image can make you think critically, right? And art does have visual art can make you think about things in different ways, absolutely. But it's just something about the book, though, really forces you to like really engage. If you really like seriously read the book, it forces you to like it just flexes this thing in your mind where you really have to be active to really absorb knowledge, which I don't think video can do. Like books are their own thing, and they always will be. And then Nadia says, "Oh, I think my message weren't sending because I was including links in them. Whoops. Oh yeah. I don't think I can help you with that. Or maybe I can. I just don't know how to allow you to send with links. Yeah, see, if you join Discord, you can add links. Video chat. But you're saying it's $7 a month in Canadian. Okay. Yeah, because the United States dollar is getting stronger, for better or worse. So yeah, there's that. So I completely understand. That's why I'm not tripping when I'm not like one of those people like, oh no, there's nobody subscribing to my Patreon. It's like, no, I get it. It's like people are broke. People got to pay their bills. Like, so if you start charging money for shit, like you don't expect people to just start running. I get it. Right? I totally get it. Don't take it personal at all. But I got bills to pay too, so, so I'm gonna charge the Patreon. But if you could provide some, that $7 Canadian dollars a month. We'll have a good time. We'll have a good time. We can read some Fred Moulton. That'll be cool. But it's totally up to you. I have a friend who takes pride in not reading, so it's odd to me. No. I have family members who are like, shit, I've never read a book, and I'm proud of it. And that's always going to be a thing. I have family members who are like, shit, you read? You're not in school anymore. Why the hell would you read? I mean, that's not unusual, particularly here in the United States of America. That's definitely like where like we have anti-intellectualism. That's definitely a thing in this country, where it's like, read. That's just not cool. So, but despite that, we still have many people who love books, and not only not just books like The Hunger Games and Harry Potter, right? Like really deep books with a lot of depth. There's a huge populace for that here in this country and in parts of the world, right? You just got to seek out your people. And my point is, like, the internet doesn't make that easy anymore, right? You got to have to go outside the internet nowadays to be able to do that, which is a shame, because that wasn't the point of the internet when it started. The point of the internet was for you to be able to, like, I'm not finding what I'm looking for in my immediate circle. Maybe I can go on the internet and I can find it. Right? But it's a lot harder to do that now than it was back when the internet first started, because of the whole social media has a grip on the way the internet is structured. And that's sad. How many people are in the Discord? One, and that person doesn't really interact because I think they're just supporting me. They're just like, hey, I like what you do. I'm just gonna support you. So really, there's nobody on the Discord. So there, that's the answer to your question. Leads to a more uneducated society. I know, right? And don't let me go on that tangent but I will. An uneducated society is a society that's more easily controlled, right? You can control people much better when they're not educated. So this is all by design, right? People in power, education here in this country, America, USA is absolute shit, right? And that's not like, and people say like, yeah, our education system is broken. It's not broken. Like that, there's an intention behind that. It's like, well, you can manipulate people easily when they're not educated, right? And the people who have the power are like, yeah, let's not fund education so we can control people more easily. And this is like a thing that's been, it's not a new concept. It's why, they made it illegal for slaves to read, right? It was illegal for slaves to read because it's like if slaves start getting ideas and start learning, they're going to want to revolt, right? So, it's an age-old thing, and it's sad. I can imagine the internet being so useful for rural areas where society tends to be less diverse. Yep, that's definitely my daughter benefited from the internet because she grew up in basically a Christian cult. And where like your worldview was whatever the Bible said, and even early on she knew that was bullshit. So she lived in an adoptive family that thought that, and she was trying to get out of that. So she found ways of getting out that through the internet. I was telling you about the Nintendo DS. She had a Nintendo DS that she used, and it had a browser on it, and she was able to go into the internet, and the parents didn't know that it had internet access, and she was able to surf the internet and find a lot of things that were outside her society, her inner circle, through that. And she grew up in a rural area, so that's a great part about the internet, right? That's good. And in big cities, it, at least for me, has been really easy to find like-minded people such as readers, right? In big cities, you got all types of meetups. And, most big cities now have like philosophy clubs or philosophy groups, philosophy book meets. Most big cities have that. And you can always find that. And that's your medium. Right there's your medium. It's not like video, although video essays, I like a good video essay, but the video essays have their limit, just like a philosophy book has its limit too, right? There are certain things you can't really do with and that's what the book club is for, right? So you can have discussions and you can kind of fill in the gaps that the book leaves, because every medium has its limit, right? I feel for her that sounds like a really tough situation. I hope she is doing better now that she's under your wing. Yep, she's doing great now, because I don't be doing that bullshit. Free exchange of ideas. She's awesome. Would your daughter or wife ever come on to chat? Probably not. I do ask, and they're like, nah. But that would be nice. I'll ask again, but I don't think so. My daughter wants to do a video essay. She wants to actually start a YouTube channel, video essay. But that, so maybe if she gets that going. But, video essays are very hard work. I mean, you can tell. So, not to denigrate the video essay. Creating a video essay, that's a lot of effort and a lot of work. Especially the ones that that look good. I'm like, okay, I know you spent a huge amount of time and effort making that. So, and currently she doesn't really have the energy and time to do that, because she moved out now. She's an adult now. She's like doing her thing, doing her adulting. So she's just trying to get her stuff together, just trying to pay the bills, trying to get the, life, gotta do the life. But maybe one day you could tell them that the viewers are, I have to, because it's not just you. Some other people are like, hey, can we have them? But maybe that even makes them even more nervous. I don't know. Maybe that's like not encouraging. I think that might be the issue. Like, oh no, they want to see me. But that would be awesome to have a live stream. The family. Just talk. What age did you adopt? Wasn't it a bit later, like age 17? Oh, it was. She was already an adult. I actually don't remember. I think it was 18. She was an adult, but she was just needing. She had no family. Her family like disowned her, or just didn't want to be involved in her life, and she just needed a home, right? And she was going through a lot of shit, and I didn't even realize you could do that. I didn't know you. Yeah, I didn't know you could adopt an adult. Yeah, me neither. I was like, you can do that? I didn't know, but apparently you can. So we did. We went to the, city hall and down, the city office, and we did all the paperwork. Got a judge involved, and set it all up. And now I'm legally her parent, her dad, which is. What was the benefit from formally adopting? Well, if you want to talk about like, like legal stuff, like, for example, she needed health care. And now because she's my daughter, and I can put her on my health care plan, because you can put, if you have certain health care plans, you can include your family members. So that's one benefit. Like I can include her on my healthcare plan, and as most people know, healthcare in the United States of America is bad. Not because of it, the quality of it. It's just because the cost, the cost, and just the organization of it, right? People don't know where to go. The healthcare itself is amazing, but how to organize and navigate to get the proper treatment, and the cost of it is absurd. So you need to have some sort of health insurance, and even when you have health insurance, it's still expensive. So that was one benefit, and then the other. So that's there was a lot of like economical things, but also just being formally in a family. Was a benefit, just emotionally beneficial, just to be part of a family that was loving and caring. That was a huge benefit. She needed that. She needed a nest. She needed like a place to call home with like some people that was like, okay, these are my parents. That she needed a chosen family, right? And I think the adoption helped kind of, make that chosen family more actualized. I would say. How did you cross paths with your daughter and bring up the idea of adopting? Oh no, it's because I should definitely talk about. It's because at the time my wife worked at a sporting goods store, right? They're both. She used to be in running. She used to run marathons, so she was experienced with that kind of. It was like a store where they sold running shoes and running wear, and our daughter at the time, she also runs, and she was working there. And so my wife and my daughter would just, they'd be working together, and she would just share her life with my wife, right? And she was like, and then my wife was like, one day she was like, I think we should adopt this person. I'm like, who? But I got to know her, and I'm like, oh, okay, this person's pretty cool. I think we can do this. Yeah, this is something I would want to do too. So that's how it happened. Yeah, that's how it happened. But I'm definitely happy that it happened. It definitely made me a better person, and she enhances my life. I hope I enhance her life as much as she enhances mine. You all right? You all right? Do you run together? Yep. Oh, we used to, not anymore. Also, are you going to post any more marathon videos? Yes. I actually stopped running marathons because they're too time consuming to train, which is unfortunate. But you got to prioritize. You got to, it takes a lot of time to prepare for a marathon. And so I started running marathons during 2020 when the lockdowns were really huge, and so a lot of people were staying at home. That was when free time was just like abundant, so I had so much time. I was one of the lucky ones. The hell, so I took that up to but I just don't have that kind of time with all the other stuff I'm doing. I was like, okay, something's got to give, so I gave that up. But I still run. I do treadmill running. I just go to like a gym and just basically do a lot of treadmill running to kind of get that, to feed that like desire. But it's definitely not the same. But you can't do everything. I've never been a runner, so I don't really know about the preparation process. You have to do a lot of runs, and it's very time consuming. Which it can be very fun if you have the time, and you're like, it's a lot of fun. But it's definitely it's one of those hobbies that it takes a lot of time. Do you work in person now? Yep, I'm a hybrid worker. So I work, half the time in the office and the other time work at home. I'm one of those, right? So yeah, that's the other thing. But during the pandemic, we were working from home all the time, so it was like that was a lot of free time. But now, yeah, since I got to go to the office now, it's like a lot of time I don't have anymore. What is fun about running, in your opinion? Oh, it's like you get into a Zen mode, which is always fun. That's one fun thing about it. You kind of get into this meditative state, and I'm one of those people who enjoys being in that kind of state. It's kind of when you run for a long time and you get into a certain pace, and you're like a half hour, 2 hours, you can get into this meditative state that's really. That's fun, and it's not fun for everybody. Some people just get bored. And then another fun thing is you get to enjoy the outside, which is that's cool. You get to like run in the outside environments, and you get to interact with nature. And some people are like, yeah, you get to it's you against nature. It's like, that's not how it is for me. It's like me and nature become one, because ultimately we are the same. Nature, you are nature. And so when you're running, you really understand that. You're like, yeah, there's no separation between me and nature. We're just this single thing, just vibing together, and that's fun. I'm also hybrid, but can choose when we come in office, and it's not mandatory, so I usually don't. Man, I wish I had that set up. That would have been nice. I find the office to be way more distracting than at home because our office is open concept. Yeah, if it was up to me, I would never come to the office. Like, I'd always stay at home. Just because I hate commuting. The commute sucks. Right? And just like, why I'd just stay home and do it. I know some people are like, well, you're in the office, you can socialize with people, and it's nothing like that water cooler talk. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't care about any of that bullshit. But yeah, people like to socialize, but I can socialize outside work. I don't need. Are there nice places to run in Memphis? Yeah, Memphis got great places to run, and just the surrounding cities of Memphis. And Memphis has a huge running community. Believe it or not, yeah, I was like kind of floored by that. I was like, wow, because it's very humid. The weather is pretty like lousy here, I would say, but people still run. It's either like too hot and it's very humid, or it's like too damn cold. But you know, that doesn't discourage people from running. It's a huge community of runners here. So not only are there nice, pretty places to run, there's a lot of good groups you can run with. You do canoe trips in Great Lakes and smaller lakes in Ontario, and that's where I get into nature and meditative state. That's cool. You know, one of these days I'm gonna learn how to swim. I don't know how to swim, but one of these days I'm gonna learn how to damn swim. It's gonna happen. Because I want to do water sports too, but people say like, well, you can just wear a life jacket. It's like, well, okay, but still, I would like to know how to swim. I just go into the office if there is some social event happening, which is not too often. I try maybe every 1 to 2 weeks. Everybody knows how to swim in Canada. That's cool. Yeah, it's funny because I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, San Francisco, California. I'm from Oakland, which is right next to it. And they're like, wait, you're from California? You don't know how to swim? He's like, yeah, dude. Like, you know, like, the water, like the ocean it's cold as fuck. like you can't just like swim. Like you need to wear one of those water suits or you'll die of hypothermia. It's like super cold, and it's also like the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area is like heavily polluted, so it's like the water is like disgusting. So a lot of people don't know how to swim because like we don't really do water sports really over. I mean, some people surf, but they, you know, there's Santa Cruz, which is part of the Bay Area, but those people, and that's a good surf town, but those people have full, wetsuits. Like even they got the head part, because you gotta have that or you'll freeze to death. Even though if it's like 70 degrees outside, the water is like 40 or like, so it's not like Hawaii. Some people are like, I thought it's like Hawaii. No, like the water is like pretty lousy actually where I'm from. To be honest. If you want to do water things, you have to drive like way into California. You can't really do much of that like in the ocean because the ocean's pretty inhospitable, to be honest with you. And then the other problem is they got these waves in the water where it draws you out of the land. So there's like these constant forces of water that like are pushing you away from land, and you can easily like be pushed away from and you can't swim back. Right? It's shit is dangerous, right? So yeah, a lot of people, currents, right? A lot of currents. So a lot of people where I'm from like do not know how to swim, because it's like, why the hell would I even want to get in that water? Now, SoCal, Southern California, like San Diego and like all that shit, Laguna Beach, like people do that. So I guess the water over there is more hot. I don't know, I haven't been there. I guess because you're closer to the equator. But where I'm from is and then wetsuit. Let's see, I heard that US has a higher rate of people who don't know how to swim. Oh, okay. Yeah, because our water is not but I don't know, I think like Florida is probably good. I've never been there. I think Southern California is a little better with the waters, but people be coming in the SF Bay saying they like thinking it's Hawaii and shit. Like, oh, the water's not crystal clear. Like, nah, man, you don't want to get into this water is shit. You know, the San Francisco Bay Area, they ship their water from like the Sierra Mountains, which is like, you know, hundreds of miles away. Like the water is like shipped to drinkable water from the mountains to like, we don't even have healthy drinking water, even though we're like, there's water everywhere. It's like, it's all like not healthy. It's funny. I drove down from Vancouver to Crescent City. Okay, Crescent City. I know Crescent City. Only time I've been in California, I did some surfing there, and in Oregon and Washington. You had a wetsuit. Yeah, I think I've been to Crescent City before. Yeah, I think that's cold as fuck. That city's cold. A lot of those like cities that are close, like in Northern California, that are close to the coast, they're cold as fuck. And San Francisco's cold. It's like always like 60s, 50 degrees, and there's always this breeze from the Pacific Ocean. I remember that. Like a lot of those coastal cities where I'm from, they're like, you always gotta have like a sweater or a coat, because it's like, even in summer, it's like they're cold as fuck. Let's see. My friends who live in Vancouver and Vancouver Island do a lot of surfing, so they had all the gear, but it's quite cold up there. Okay, yeah, okay, so it's cold. Yeah, I would, yeah, because that's the stereotype of Canada. Like, it's cold in Canada, right? That's a stereotype. Yeah, but big ups to the surfers who like wear those wetsuits. They you know, that's like marathon running, right? Yeah, you got to get serious. You got to invest money and time. So yeah, I just ain't into it like that. But one day I will learn how to swim. Rip current. I do polar dips in the winter in the Great Lakes. It's particularly frozen, and I sit there for a minute or two. It's supposed to be good, and you get that same high that you get when you run. Okay, that's cool. That's like, I don't think that's something I would do, but good on you. Vancouver is the warmest place in Canada. Okay. When I lived out there, I had a board and did a lot of surfing. Oh, so you can surf. That's cool. I would love to be able to surf. I've always wanted to do that, but I just didn't, I didn't. I just was lazy. That's of the list of things I wanted to do, I was like, well, that's a lot, and particularly where I'm from, where you have to get a wetsuit. But you got a wetsuit, so that's cool. And you gotta really, not only do you have to learn how to swim, you gotta like really be good at swimming, because you gotta fight those currents. When stuff becomes like, okay, this is life or death, because surfing where I'm from can be quite dangerous, because those currents are pretty bad. They can kind of sweep you away, so you gotta be really trained. It's like scuba diving or something. So I'm like, yeah, no, it's a bit too much. It's not like in like those waters, those cool surf movies where they'll just have swimming trunks and the water is warm. But nowadays, like in Florida, apparently, like in the summertime, the water is like boiling and shit because of climate change, and that's another problem. Right? You got water that's too hot now. It's damn. We've gotten there to that point in our history. I feel like polar dips are a super Canadian thing. Okay. I'm not good at surfing, but that's cool. There's something cathartic about the ocean taking control. I would try and surf. That's something I would try. But do I have time to do that? No. But maybe one day I could like figure out a way to do that. Now I live in a place where you're not doing that. Like I don't live next to the ocean or anything. Oh well. I'm good at survey. There's something cathartic about the ocean taking control of you. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been swimming regularly since I was a toddler. Wow. I had a great learning. So it is so refreshing. It feels so nice to just float on your back too. I remember I've had a family member try to teach me, and I had a friend to try. My family member, um, and they were both bad. It's funny because my friend was a lifeguard, and he tried to teach me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not learning anything. And then somebody's like, oh, it's easy, just like stand, just like float, like you really don't have to learn. And somebody was telling me like, swimming is not hard. You just have to just kind of, just flow. And I believe, like, okay, I'll just like get in the water and I'm just gonna figure out, like, no, I can't. This isn't working. Like, I'm falling in the water, like, and I don't know how to get back up. So I was in, one of those pools that gradually get deep. So I was like, let me go back to the shallow part. I thought this was like. Maybe for some people it's natural. Like they could just like figure it out, but not me. Like, you gotta tell me what I need to do. Are there many lakes in Tennessee? Yeah, Tennessee got a lot of lakes, but you can't surf in them because there's no currents. But you could do like jet ski, those water skis, or those jet skis. Yeah, there's a lot of that. People do that. What is that when the jet ski, when you're hanging off of a boat and you're like holding a handle on a rope and you're like kind of like hanging and you're kind of surfing with something. I don't know what they call that. Hang gliding or something like that. I don't know. No, that's like air stuff. But a lot of people do that. They're like holding a rope with a handle and they're letting a boat pull them. A lot of people do that here in Tennessee. Unfortunately, I think it's harder as an adult to learn. Like, oh, fuck. If you put a baby in the water, it will instinctively know how to swim. It's quite incredible. Yeah, kind of like the cover of Nirvana. Baby's just chilling. But as a grown person, you're like, oh my god, I'm falling. I don't know what to do. Oh, I was just wondering, because Ontario especially, but all Canada is the land of lakes. Okay, they're over. Okay, so it's probably not as many lakes as Ontario. But there's a good amount of water here. And if you're into water sports, you'll be happy. I mean, if you're into surfing, you're not going to be happy. But all the other water sports besides surfing, there's a lot to do here. Because we do have several lakes. All summer I'm finding lakes to swim in. And winter too. Okay. Yeah, because some people are into that. And swimming in that cold. But one day I'm going to figure out how to swim. Okay, Google said 30 larger that provide ample opportunities for boating and what. Okay, cool. Well, I live next to the Mississippi River, and people do all types of water sports on the Mississippi River. So I used to train. That was when I was training for marathon running. I would run along the Mississippi River. And I would see people with jet skis and boating and canoeing. The people did the canoeing, and then people would do that somebody would ride one of those boats that are super fast, and they'd have the guy behind being pulled by a rope holding the handle, and they would do like flips and shit. I would see that kind of stuff. River floats are fun. Have you ever done one of those? Nope. I don't really do water activities because I'm like, I don't know how to swim. And people say like, dude, you could just wear a life jacket. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna risk it. I don't really do water activities, but I've always wanted to because I'm from California. The stereotype is, look, you're California, you should be doing water stuff. Like, but most Californians don't do water shit. Even though like that's a stereotype. Kind of like the stereotype is, look, you're from San Francisco, why are you not a hippie? It's like, dude, like that's only a tiny fraction of the San Francisco population. Boy River floats are fun. Okay, I'm not a fan of jet skis and motorsports because of the pollution, noise pollution. Oh, okay. Yeah, here in Tennessee, people don't give a shit about pollution, noise or otherwise. They're very like, we dominate nature. You know, we pollute. Like, people don't care about pollution. So, yeah, so that's not really a problem here. Life jackets can be pretty uncomfortable too. Okay. Yeah. But one day I'm gonna swim. Okay. I think it's we've been talking. The topic's been over forever. So much for Ontario is underdeveloped. It's time to put this to a close. But feel free to if you want to keep talking. You don't have to be like a book club member. I could just I don't know if you're on Discord. We could just talk on Discord. Whatever. You don't have to pay the $7 a month. It's fine. I could give you my Discord, chat or whatever online chat you prefer. Yeah, just hit me up, or I can message me later and we can continue the discussion. I just have to walk my dog. I have to let my dog out now. Unless I would have kept talking. But you're saying so you can do backcountry canoe trips and not see anyone for the entire. Okay, cool. Yeah. No, I would love to continue talking about like water activities. Yeah, because I want to get involved one day. But yeah, we've gone past the internet discussion, which is fine. We go on our tangents. That's good. But thanks for those who have watched. There's a few people that chat you, Nadia and Jaga. And if you're watching this later on, feel free to leave a comment. It's all good. It's 11 p.m. here. Damn. Oh, okay, you're like East Coast time. I think an hour later to you, so I should say. Okay. We believe someone else still watching right now. Okay. Yeah, no, and they call them lurkers. If you just want to watch and not comment, there ain't nothing wrong with that. I do the same thing often. So that's cool too. Everybody is welcome to do it as they please, except you can't do the hateful comments, and that's the only the obvious shit that you can't do. But it's all good, and we can go off topic, no problem. It's a live stream. We just be chilling out here. But thanks for watching, and hit me up, Nadia. We can just talk casually on the Discord or whatever. No problem. But let me just let my dog out. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.